Ever since Warcraft 3, fans have speculated about Malfurion Stormrage being a Sith Lord, but at last, we finally have our answer thanks to the new expansion, Legion. Now by this point, you have probably quested through Val'sharah and have already come upon this revelation, but for those of you who have not gone through the quest zone yet, or maybe didn't pay attention to any of the lore, I am here to explain. So let's begin with this. Malfurion is the most powerful druid on all of Azeroth. His teacher is Cenarius, and above Cenarius in the Emerald Dream is the Dream's Keeper, Ysera the Green Dragon. These three figures, as well as the Ancients, make up the backbone of what keeps Druidism together. Now with all those heroes, there must of course be villains, and Malfurion's primary antagonist in Warcraft lore, you could say, is Xavius, the very first satyr and the Lord of the Emerald Nightmare. In Val'sharah, the story is this. Xavius is spreading his Emerald Nightmare across the forest, and Malfurion, he ain't having none of that shit. Now this might seem like a rather ordinary story of just good versus evil, but if you look carefully between the lines, you might find something sort of strange. So it begins with Xavius spreading his corruption across Val'sharah, which begins to affect Cenarius, Malfurion's teacher. Malfurion discovers that Cenarius is being corrupted, and he kneels down over his body, pondering on the source of his teacher's sickness. Now let's establish one thing. Malfurion has been combating the nightmare for hundreds, if not thousands of years, so this corruption that was taking over Cenarius should have been obvious to him. And it was. But Malfurion made it seem like he was confused and at a loss of what to do. Now bear with me and keep listening. We, the hero, are sent off and we go and recruit an old druid bear woman and Treebeard to help us out. After gathering together, Malfurion and the two friends summon the one person that was key to Malfurion's formulating plan, and that was Ysera the Dreamer herself. Malfurion welcomes Ysera, and he acts as though he's at a loss of what to do and what's going on, even though we just revealed to him that Xavius is behind all this. But he tells us to go find the Tear of Elune, which is an ancient and powerful artifact which is guarded in the nearby Temple of Elune. Now, Malfurion would have known about this artifact right from the beginning, and he would have known that Xavius would just naturally go after it. But what does Malfurion do? He just continues to sit over Cenarius' decaying body, doing nothing and weeping, pretending like he's incapacitated by rage and sorrow. Why didn't Malfurion immediately go to protect the Tear of Elune as soon as he saw the nightmare corruption in Cenarius? Well, you'll see. So, we obviously fail to get the Tear of Elune, and we get back with news that Xavius has obviously stolen the Tear, which causes Malfurion to get all angry, and Cenarius disappears or whatever, and we can assume that he's gonna die or something. Malfurion then flies off in a rage, doing something completely out of his character and totally reckless. Now, do you really think that a 10,000-year-old archdruid wouldn't have the temperament to think clearly and evaluate this situation properly? Remember, he has fought in multiple wars lore-wise. It doesn't make any sense, because it goes completely against his character. Or does it? Malfurion flies off, we ride with Ysera to go and find him, and we learn that Malfurion has been captured. Xavius then uses the corrupted Tear of Elune, he throws it into Ysera, and he corrupts her from the inside out. Now when this moment occurs, the true genius of Malfurion's plan finally reveals itself. I must say, I was in shock to see that the Sith Lord theory had finally been confirmed. You see, Malfurion has always been third place in the Dream in terms of power, but now Cenarius is corrupted and is probably about to die, and now Ysera is about to share the same fate. You see, Malfurion clearly wants to be the most powerful being in the Dream and the Lord of all Druids and the Green Dragons, but he can't off Ysera himself, otherwise the rest of the Druids would turn against him. No. He had to let someone else do it, and that person is Xavius. That's why he never fully destroyed him after all these years, because he knew that Xavius and his nightmare would be the best chance that he would have at ending Ysera and taking up her authority for himself. As the rule of two Sith saying goes, one to wield the power, the other to crave it. Now, you might be sitting there thinking that this is all crazy, it's just a bunch of nonsense, but let's continue the story. We meet up with Tyrande, we run off with her in search of Malfurion, and Xavius taunts us with these images and visions of an apparent Malfurion in distress, crying out and begging for help. Now, does this remind you of anything?
I'm too weak. Oh, don't kill me, please.
Eventually, Xavius retreats with Malfurion into the Darkheart Thicket, and we're forced to kill Ysera with Tyrande and friends, finally putting an end to the dreaming thorn in Malfurion's side. Afterwards, we're told to go to the Darkheart Thicket and save Malfurion. And what do we discover there? First and foremost, throughout the entire dungeon, Malfurion just doesn't give a fuck. He constantly is taunting Xavius, mocking him, and just treating him like a little bitch. Now, do you seriously think that a prisoner who is about to be killed would be mocking his captor, pretty much laughing as he does? Of course not. Do you see? Do you see? Malfurion acted like he didn't know what was going on, and then he let himself be captured, but he knew he could overpower Xavius at any moment, and that's why Xavius wasn't even able to kill him before we arrived. That's why Malfurion acts like nothing is wrong throughout the entire instance. He's fine. He doesn't need our help. We're just a means to make Malfurion's ultimate betrayal plot come true. We reach Xavius' room, we fight his shadow, and then Malfurion just casually frees himself from his bindings and is like, hey, thanks idiots, but hey, Xavius is over in the Emerald Nightmare raid, so you might want to go kill him for me. Thanks. Did Malfurion give a shit? No. Was it because he just became the most powerful individual in the Emerald Dream? Yes. Ysera is dead. Xavius is about to get killed by some random heroes that Malfurion doesn't care about. His bangin' wife is still alive and well, and now he is the guardian of the dream, assuming Ysera's role and establishing his authority over all druids and dreamers alike. But something happened, we discover, that Malfurion did not intend. Cenarius wasn't killed by Xavius like Malfurion assumed, so in the Nightmare raid we're forced to help, and I use that word really lightly, cleanse Cenarius from his nightmare infestation with Malfurion's aid. Now obviously Malfurion had hoped that Xavius would have killed Cenarius for him, but since he didn't, well, I guess it's only a matter of time now. You see, lore-wise, Cenarius is now cleansed, and Xavius has been defeated. Val'sharah is saved. And what does this mean? It means that Malfurion will have to discover a new way to have his old teacher offed, just like he offed Ysera. So one day soon, in the lore, mark my words, future expansion, Cenarius will fall again, and if you pay attention, you will see that it was Malfurion, the fucking Sith Lord, who holds the dagger in the shadows. And that is why Malfurion is fucking awesome, and thank you Blizzard for finally confirming this old theory.